Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. We're going to try something a little bit new. In the huge storm that we had last night, here, I'm actually going to hold it from this side. Huge storm that we had last night, we actually lost internet connection. And so we've been trying to get it back and going. But I didn't want to miss the live because we never miss live. I love it. Phone number. And then they just keep on calling you. I'll keep on sending you right to voicemail. So we're gonna go just on a little bit of an adventure. We're gonna go check out some, see what's going on with some stuff. Check out some uh, Angel Fire. I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. So this is the neighborhood. Well, these are all the trees. That's a kid's play swing set. But that's the trees. We live in a nice wooded area, and then and then this is kind of the neighborhood that we live in. See, lots of trees. That's beautiful New Hampshire for you right there. Yeah, beautiful New Hampshire. Yeah, kids toy in the snow. Can you tell that we weren't ready for the snow? We totally weren't ready for the snow. We thought we were done for the season, but that's when you know that you're not done. So we'll just do some things a little unorthodox. That's why I kind of said, hey, here goes nothing, or this should be interesting. So we'll probably actually go through, we'll actually head down to the studio, give you guys just a quick walkthrough. Yeah, the snow, unbelievable, right, Chris Culp? I mean, just unbelievable. So, oh dear God, hold on one second. Well, you're just gonna have to figure it out then. So hold on one second. So of course, why wouldn't we have a landlord problem right when this happens? So, but they just don't know how to follow instruction. So hold on one second. Hey, see, there's kids. Say hi. Hi. Yeah, you're just saying hi to a screen. Hey, Ash.
Yes.
Can you call Sophie or call Emma's Sophie? And just, she said there's a problem. There's some water on the floor in their bathroom, but
Okay.
she's too dumb to use the portal. So it just,
I don't think I
here,
have
call
Emma
this
Sophie's
number.
Okay.
Here, call this number.
Great.
Don't say it out loud
Okay.
because we're online.
Okay. Sorry, everyone. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Call her. Thanks. And then just tell her, hey, in the future, use the portal that we pay money for. Dear God, some people, I tell you. So yeah, so we're waiting for the lovely internet to come back on. But the good news is this is also kind of a little bit of a test because there's a bunch of stuff we want to field or record in the field. And so yeah, now I'm going down the hall. But yeah, we want to record stuff in the field in the coming weeks. And this is how we're essentially going to do it. But we're going to go into the studio. Get blinded by the light. Oh, that light's so bright. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So we'll do this until we see that we have internet come back on. Sorry, I got a big, huge hand. My bad. I can't get used to the fact where this camera is. There we go. So we'll get back to it. But yeah, good to see you guys. So let's see, who do we have here in the lovely chat? So we've got BuzzTune, we've got Culp, we've got Hyder, we got Yoder, we got Angel, we have Culp again. Great boot camp last night. Sorry I was late and quieter. Girls home from spring break and of course brought home the plague. What else is new, right? That's what our children love to do. They love to bring us the plague. All right. I tell you, some tenants. It's like, yeah, you've got an issue, but follow procedure, follow instruction. I mean, how hard is that? Gotta love those New Hampshire winters. Yeah, I know, right? Well, so we thought we were kind of out of it to a certain degree because it's not actually been that bad. But it's only March. So usually we get one last storm. Hopefully that's the last hurrah because every time it snows, angels don't get their wings. They actually get clipped. It costs me about $4,000 every time it snows. Good morning, Oscar. Good morning, Senya and Kim. Trade better. Hello, Mrs. Lumberjack. That was Mrs. Lumberjack. That's true. That was the kids too. Sammy Farho, good morning. Bittner, good morning. Yeah, enjoyed that cup of coffee. We had our coffee this morning. I don't drink coffee, but yeah. Way to persevere. Yeah, I mean, if If you can't handle the internet going out, it doesn't happen that often where we are, but it does happen. I actually looked it up, and I think there's like 1,000 affected customers. So it's not tiny. Josh Burdick, good morning. It's been nice in Gary too. Hope it's nice when I leave here. Yeah, I hope so. It's the Midwest doesn't get it too bad in that area, especially off the lake. It's not horribly bad there. But yeah, interested to hear what this tenant has just like such an attitude about stuff sometimes. And the funny thing is it was like, and you know, I helped them out big time. Their apartment burned down, and I got them into a place in like a couple of days. So yeah, it's kind of funny. Those that you help, it's like I could rent it out tomorrow for 15% more. So not only did I help them out, but then I gave them a deal on top of that. But what else is new? So the usual. But for last night we did boot camp. It was a lot of fun. We did about 2.5 hours in boot camp just answering questions. One of the things that we talked a lot about last night was Section 8, and a lot of people not understanding necessarily how Section 8 is calculated. So how Section 8 is calculated is they take the last 2 years and they don't count those for rents. So what they do count is they count 5 years and then they average it. So if you go 2 years back and then 5 years back, that's the sampling that they're taking is of the 5 years. So one of the things that you can generally understand, and this is one of the things that I know that quite frankly I don't hear any other channel ever talking about, is how it's calculated. It's calculated based on those 5 years minus the last 2. So it's essentially 7 years back. Well, what were rents 7 years ago? They were ridiculously low. And they were flat. They'd been flat for almost a decade. They'd only shown slight signs of upticking, and depending on the different markets. Sorry, I had an itch. So what's really interesting to look at is as Section 8 continues to unfold, what you're likely going to find is, and what you're not likely, but guaranteed to find, is that the years coming off, right now the years that are being counted are 18, 19, 20, 21, and 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21 are the years being counted. 22 and 23 aren't being counted yet. So 17 and 18, guess what? They were not a thing. In 2017 and 2018, you didn't see massive increases in rents. They were largely flat, or they were slightly above, but there was no real movement in the rental market at that point. So one of the things that you're going to find, the great anticipation, is that in next year, 17 falls off and they count 2022. 2022 had significant rent increases, but even those rent increases being significant, what it does is it takes a year that was decently significant. It wasn't double digit, it was still high single digit, but you're going to have 17 fall off that was basically flat. Well, now fast forward another 12 months. 2018 is going to fall off where there really weren't any significant increases. And now you're going to be counting 2023. And a lot of those show increases. All of our units across the board showed increases in rents, and they were significant. Hold on one second. Okay, perfect. Oh my goodness, unbelievable. This one new tenant. Interesting. Hold on one second. Man, now you guys know what's actually going on my phone. You guys actually see what's going on my phone when usually we don't hit that stuff. But let's get back to Section 8. So when we look at the Section 8 stuff, what you're going to find is 17 is going to fall off, and then you're going to pick up 22. 22, again, significant increases anywhere from 7 to 9%. 23 was 5 to 7%, right? So it was disinflation, not deflation, or it was a slowing down of the process. So now what we're looking at is 17 and 18 are going to fall off where they really weren't increases. So just think about that. We're due for massive bumps, even if the market flattens out, right? Even if the market flattens out in 2024, which is the year we're in now, even if 2024 does that, think about what that means. That means that we're going to be picking up that much more. We're going to be picking up 17 and 18, which were basically flat. They're disappearing. And then you're going to see massive increases for 23 and 20, or for 22 and 23. So I can tell the future. This is why I said in the video about a year ago, I said, you watch. There's going to be an 8 to 12% increase in markets in 2024 or 2023 in the rents. There's going to, or for the 2024 year, because they call them out in 23. They call them out in September 23, October of 23, and then those take effect in January of 24. So the next number that we're going to find out is going to be the September, October timeframe. That's something I search for every single day. And so I always break that news. I always am the first one to bring that news to market out there because I also know how they count everything. So that's what you're going to be able to see. You're going to be able to see some significant market increases. Even if we always, and so to Chris's point, like I just saw, the rent collapse, if you will, even if that happens, for Section 8, it's not going to happen for 2 years. Their FMRs are based on that formula, 2 years back and 5-year average. So 2 years back in 2025, their 2 years back is going to be 24 and 23. In 2026, there is going to be 2 years back, so it's going to be 2024. Even if rents have flattened by then, because rents don't collapse, even in the worst economic time in our history, rents didn't collapse. They went down between 2 and 4%. So it's not something that happens. Because what ends up happening is very often there's still not enough supply. It's still a supply and demand story. So you can expect in the next 2 years, you can expect in the next 2 years looking at Section 8, and those rents are largely going to be going up. Now, whether you want to debate the whole idea of universal basic income or any of these other ideas, right? Whether or not you want to debate that stuff, don't really care. Not a political channel, don't care. I care personally about what those things that happen because I believe it reflects on society. But as we look at that process over the next couple of years, if UBI is something that's introduced, guess what? That just is going to make all this stuff go up further. That's all it is. So there's still not enough housing being built in the affordable and the workforce housing classes. It's all high-end apartment buildings. And that stuff that's being done, guess what? That's where people are giving up 50% of their incomes to live in some of these buildings. Those places have had to do away with 3x income because there's not that many people making $100,000 a year that can afford that basically is, $3,500 a month for a high-end apartment. You're talking $42,000 a year. So that's where the stuff starts to get crazy. So that being said, let me just try and scroll back a little bit here and get into some of the questions. And again, forgive me because we're just trying to make do. That's all we're trying to do here because we have no internet. Because yesterday we had like a snowstorm, but then it turned into a rainstorm, and then it turned into a freezing rainstorm, and then it froze a bunch of the branches. That's when we get a heavy fall here. Fall meaning branches falling off of trees and then snapping wires. So then they end up having a pretty busy day today. But we're going to have a pretty busy day today, apparently, because somebody in one of our buildings clogged up the pipe again. So now they're going to get a bill because we know that they are flushing things. It's the same one that I posted last time that is likely flushing things they should be flushing. And so now they're going to have to get a bill. Pallavi, good morning. Everyone from Illinois. Yes, not too much here, but it's cold. Yeah. Good morning, Dylan. Matt Bittner. So Section 8 rents are likely in for a significant increase. Not likely, yes, they're in for a significant increase just based on the formula that they use. The only thing that could change that is they change the formula. That's it. And that formula has been the formula for forever. Chris Wissing, good morning, sir. Nice and rainy here in coastal California. That's not bad. Because when that rain burns off, I'm sure it'll be 70. Old REI guy, what's up, Frank? Good morning. Dylan McMahon, good morning. How your day going so far? Good. Had breakfast with the kids out at the restaurant, talked to a couple of people that are potential renters. Yeah, the usual, good stuff. Creating processes for all what if the scenarios will happen on a property. Good luck with that. It's ambitious, but that's kind of why I built the course. So I built the course so people didn't have to create something from scratch based on not knowing anything. So the whole reason I did my course was because I've got 22 years experience. I know all the stuff that happens to buildings. I know all the stuff that you need to look at, consider, make sure you inspect before you buy it. I know the stuff that costs you $5,000 and $10,000 as well as the stuff that costs you $200. But if it costs $200 to inspect it, and it's $200 to fix it, I'd rather spend the $200 fixing it and just taking that out of the basket. So what we focus on is the areas that really can set you back: roofs, heating systems, foundation work, the type of stuff that's structural, windows, the type of stuff that's structural to an asset that actually can really put you behind it, because that stuff has to perform. And then there's the optimization stuff, like toilets and lights and shower valves and all that sort of stuff. Dylan, how do you determine deposit amount? Does it change if they have divorce credit? You can't change it in most states. Most states, it cannot exceed what the first month's rent is. But that's where you have to know your local law. You have to understand what the local law is. Some states allow for first month's rent, deposit, and last month's rent. Many states don't allow for that. They only allow for deposit and first month's rent. Some states allow for you to collect a pet fee. Some want to see pet deposits. Some want to see the deposit can't be more than the first month's rent. Usually you don't want to do a pet deposit. You want to do a fee, because deposits you have to return. So I'd much rather do a fee on a monthly basis than actually do a deposit. So yeah, can't change that. That would literally be the definition, Dylan, of discrimination. Can't do it that way. But great question, because guess what? Now you avoid that, and now I don't have to see the picture of you in horizontal stripes or being fined with massive fines because you discriminated against a tenant. And again, you have to have level playing field. So one of the things that we teach always is our criteria is exactly the same for every single person. If there is an exception made, it's because there is an exception to be made. So, things like handicap accessibility, right? We're changing a unit for a tenant because we're making it handicap accessible. So we didn't discriminate. We wanted to help their family out. We wanted to help them out. We wanted to be part of their solution. But it doesn't mean that we had to do it for free, right? So we had to work that process. Summer Santa time. Good morning. I have a mortgage question. Over the last couple of weeks, I tried refinancing Virginia, a VA home loan. Okay. Let's see. Let me just see if I can find the rest of your question, my man. The mortgage company wanted me to sign paperwork that had an owner occupancy obligation clause because it said it did not apply to me, even though it was black and white, and refused to take it out. I mean, again, this is where these companies, they have you follow the rules, but guess who ends up getting caught for fraud? VA loans, you have to make sure that you understand exactly how that's structured. Not a veteran, so I don't know, other than it's usually 0% down. But when you refi, I don't know if there is that in-home requirement. I don't know that. And so I would check with Matt, the mortgage guy. He knows that stuff inside and out. He's fantastic. But to your point, yeah, you don't sign something where you know you're lying. You don't sign something that you know you're lying. It's bad business. It's bad business. Anytime we've signed anything, it's because that's absolutely 100% how we intended to use it, how we intended to do it, and that was the process. And if something changed, well, then something changed. But when we sign it, that is what we're doing. That is the plan. That's the intention. That's just being honest. And I just believe in honesty in business. Let's see. All right. Hi, they're excited for Dylan's future. I agree. Trade Better, new member to the course. Excited to have you. Very excited going through any brand recommendations for best vinyl siding those New England winters. Yeah, so Trade Better. So I would say I personally like CertainTeed's product. They have kind of like 4 tiers. I don't use their cheap stuff. I don't use the next one up. I usually use that third one from the bottom, or the fourth one, or the fourth one's the best one. I don't usually use that because it's prohibitively expensive. And a lot of the features there, that's more like trying to get access to different colors, different styles, not really needing that. So really where my focus is is much more on that kind of third one or that second one, which is that's the thickness. Number one, that's also color palette, but you can get access to the better colors just by going one step up. Then the second thing is I like a siding that's a little bit more resilient. It's resilient. It doesn't warp in the summertime with reflection of glass. It doesn't. It does if it catches a rock, the rock is going to bounce off of it from like a weed whacker or a lawnmower. If somebody bumps into it or knocks into it or puts the corner of something heavy into it, it's not going to break the piece. So I like CertainTeed's product. If you're in New England, you can look up Lansing Building Products. That's where I buy a lot of my stuff from. But yeah, Lansing Building Products. You can also get it through like a La Valley Middleton, which is a big lumber yard up here. Not sure where you guys are. But yeah, trade better. If you tell me better where you are, I can probably give you some better advice when it comes to where I buy product. JNYC, good morning. Yep, Hyder, very good. Sam Farho, when leveling a foundation on a brick and beam, do the leveling company raise low spots higher to the highest point to the house? Is there any other way? So if it's brick, there is other ways, but usually, yeah, what you're doing is you're trying to make everything across that top brick layer. So a lot of times what you'll find is you'll see granite. So here in the northeast, you'll actually see granite blocks is your foundation. Then you'll see brick on top of that. And then you'll see the floor joists actually then sitting on top of that. So how all of that works is typically at that point your brick is level, but you're able to use that mortar and the brick, and then you're also able to shim on top of that. So a lot of times now what they'll do, in the olden days, they didn't used to do anything other than basically just mortar, and then they would stick the rough sawn beams on top of that stuff. Now what they'll do is they'll actually do kind of like, I'm blanking on the word, but they'll basically put a piece of pressure treated wood on top of that, maybe ledger board. Sorry, just brain cramping on the word. I think it's ledger board, but they'll actually put that sitting on top of the actual brick and mortar. And what you want to do is you're using pressure treated because now it's not going to be, now you're not going to worry about it, getting eaten by pests and that sort of stuff. What they've started doing is a lot of places have stopped doing PT and they've started doing like the AZEK stuff. The only challenge with the AZEK stuff is I don't know. I mean, it is made out of PVC or a combination thereof. I don't know if under that much pressure, I don't know if that will compress. So that's something that I think some builders are looking at seeing now. But I've started to see that used as what's called that base plate. Is probably a better way to refer to it. Dylan McMahon, appreciate it a lot. Least favorite part is cold calling owners, losing motivation for its many horrible people in this world, but has to be done. Yeah, so it absolutely has to be done. The challenge is, hold on one second. This is where I need you to, yes, we know it's being. Like you take all the time and you set this stuff up so people can actually call an emergency phone number and then they just call you directly because they think that that's faster. It's crazy. Let's see. Let me just scroll back here, back to where I was. Sorry, guys. So making all of those phone calls. So here's the thing. So people aren't bad. So Dylan, real quick. People aren't bad people. Honestly. People aren't bad people because they don't want to give you their time. They're busy. They're business people. Why should they give you their time? Are you calling and offering to help? Are you calling and offering to intern for them for free? Do you know how many calls I get? People wanting me to teach them how to do real estate? Like, that's unreasonable. I spent 22 years. I have a family. I have obligations for my business. That's why it's like you get to a point where, yeah, you want to get back. For me, I want to get back, but it's completely impractical for me to help every single person that wants to get interested in real estate without getting something for that time, because it's time that I don't get to spend building my business, etc. So it's tough. I get it, but yeah, you got to keep on making those phone calls. That's the way it goes. But it's not. But I wouldn't call them horrible people, because when you get on the other side of it and you have a couple hundred units and your business is out straight, there's not enough time in the world to help everybody. So you have to do what's called one-to-manys, which is like why I do my live streams. I do this because I can help 50, 75, 100 people or a couple hundred people during the week. They get to hear the experiences and then see, hey, do I need to learn more from this guy, or is what I'm getting enough? And you guys have seen it that have been in the boot camps. You guys get a lot more in the boot camps because we can dialogue through exactly the challenges you're going through. So I would never call somebody that doesn't have enough time for me as somebody that doesn't even know me. I wouldn't say they're horrible. Just kind of put it in perspective. Put yourself in their shoes. Let's see. Chris Culp. So always lagging market unless we have a long-term rent collapse. Yes. And even then, it's not. By the time that usually happens, there's nothing in the market that's ever shown anything more than a 4% correction. So yeah. Dylan, do you get inspections regularly done? Would you recommend it? Hold on one second. This is what this is there for. My heavens. Sorry. Not sure if when I pause, if that does something different, but yeah, anyway. Do you get inspections regularly done? You recommend it? No, I actually spend time on my properties. That's the thing that bothers me about long distance investors, is they think because they invested that they never go and show up at the property. You have to show up at the property. What are you doing? That's your most expensive asset. You got to get there. You got to put your eyes on it. Learn at least a little bit. I mean, the people that only remote invest, hold on one second. Unbelievable. He's on his way. Honestly, people that remote invest that don't spend any time going to their properties end up selling their properties because they can't manage them properly. They're constantly losses. But here's the thing. It's because they're not doing actually any work. You have to do the work. And the work isn't just, Zoob spent years going to Fresno 3 times a month. He spent years doing that, knew everything, built a team, had all these people, 3 weekends a month. And that's how he spent literally Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's how he spent every single weekend, 3 weekends a month for years. This idea that you can just be lazy to that degree, where you're never putting eyes on properties, you don't have a team that puts eyes on properties, and you're just waiting for the tenant to call you, that means that you end up with bigger problems further down the path. That's what that means. That's how that happens. So I don't pay for inspections. I am involved in my business, or I have a team of people that are involved in my business that go out and actually look at the property. Does raising the foundation affect the integrity of the framing? It doesn't. It just depends on how you're doing it. So there's a way to do all of that stuff. It just depends on how you're doing it. Usually with the old timber frame stuff, with those old timber frame things, what you're typically looking at is I think it's a half an inch in a period of time. And we've raised stuff like an inch or an inch and a half over like weeks of time. So it really depends, but that's where you get a structural engineer in and you get them to do a report and you say, hey, this is what we want to try and do. Construction crews will try pretty much anything, But yeah, you can do it. Like we have buildings that have been out of plumb 2, 3, 4 inches. And then we've been able to fix them. And sometimes it's a combination of jacking up from the bottom and then filling from the top. So it always can be a variation of that. Summertime Santa. Yep, we already covered that one. Steven, hey man, sorry about that. Had to end with a bang. No worries. Chris Culp, nice diversification. Now I better understand the benefit. Yeah, absolutely. It's dollar cost averaging with naturally doing it, right? Naturally doing Section 8 is kind of dollar cost averaging. The only downside is that rarely they're not going to get caught up to market rent, if that makes sense, because sometimes they find a way to get into it and say, oh well, we can get rents for less. It really comes down to the supply and the demand. It really is still what it focuses largely around. All-nighter cold calling can be a lot of fun. The conversations can be productive and hilarious. I had a guy get mad and sign me up for all sorts of calls from cruise lines. Oh, that's rough. Jill and I agree. Cool. Summertime Santa. I could use some advice on what the path forward could be because I'm not signing that as is. Yeah, I mean, I think that I would reach out to other mortgage people in the industry. That's what I would do. I would reach out to a mortgage guy because so if you reach out to Matt the mortgage guy, tell him Lumberjack sent you. But reach out to Matt the mortgage guy, ask him the question, go right on his channel, watch some of his stuff, send him a message because he's great. He answers stuff pretty timely. And the reason I can't give you advice is because I've never been through it. I've never been through it myself. I don't sign anything that I disagree with, unless it's I mean, again, if it's saying something that I'm doing something that I'm not, then I'm not signing it. Dylan, can be funny, but I like learning. Yeah, learning. Hey, learning is can be painful, but it's also fun. Michelle Meyer, good morning. Summertime, sign it with NA, and there you go. Oh yeah, you could. Yeah, sometimes I don't accept that though. Your signature is marked as you intend it to be. Yes. Dylan, I have 1,156 properties to call. I have an Excel, it goes A to Z. I do the math in that range, 26, 44. So if I do 26 a day, 45 days, my plan is to do 78 a day and 3 to 7 numbers and get done in 15 days. Yeah, you can. You can. But yeah, I mean, so the thing that you got to recognize, Dylan, is that you don't need every one of them to say yes. You need one to say yes. That's it, just one. And that's the mistake a lot of people make is they don't do it. They're defeated before they even try because they just believe, oh, man, I got to do this many times and everybody says no. Yeah, almost everybody's going to say no. Almost everybody's going to say no. That's how it goes. T, good morning, gang. Good morning. Might do less and learn more because I dislike it. Yeah, just slow the roll, but just be consistent. That's why you shouldn't try and get it over with. If you're just doing a task to get it over with, you're not going to learn what you need to learn out of it to get it. So boot camp, BuzzDude, boot camp, so valuable. Thanks, BuzzDude. Crazy return on investment. These 2 sessions can definitely see why people repeat. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, we share a lot of information. And as you guys have seen, like if I don't know about a situation, I'll tell you I don't know about that situation. But having done this for 22 years, self-managing, there's not a bunch I haven't done yet. Did Matt miss my live chats? I don't remember. Possibly, yes. Keith Hager had a pre-planned move out. They bought a house. I'm proud of them. Love that. Those are our favorites, right? I love renting to people and I like renting to people in all stages, but my favorite one is the ones who have said, we're going to stay in this unit because we want to have a 2 or 3 year plan. And then my favorite is when that plan happens and then they move on. That's my favorite plan. Favorite plan. Mandy W. Good morning. Good morning, Mandy. Dylan, you want a high deductible so you don't raise premiums starting out. What deductible you would recommend until you get reserves? Completely, that's completely a sleep well at night thing. So how do you sleep well at night? What makes you happy? For me, from my perspective, I started out with smaller premiums or higher premiums and smaller deductibles, and now I'm bigger deductibles with smaller premiums. But with how expensive insurance has gotten, I'm paying basically the same thing I was 4 or 5 years ago with massive deductibles. So there's no hard set number. Depends on what you're comfortable with. And I can fix anything, and I can fix it with my crews, and I can fix it a lot cheaper than an insurance company can. So I have to really look at it, and I have insurance for the reason that people should have insurance. You know, tornado came through or earthquake came through and ripped up a bunch of my houses. Like that's the kind of insurance. That's the insurance I need it for. For a tree falling and doing a bunch of damage to siding and a roof and breaking a window or two, I'm going to fix that myself anyway, because I'm not going to put a massive claim like that through that would, the insurance company would probably say, oh, it's $25,000. Dear God, no, it's not. It's more like $7,000 or $8,000. And I'd rather just do that in a pocket and save all, because if I file that claim, they're going to jack my rates. And that's the thing is, if you don't file claims, they get a massive rate increase, largely speaking. Cassidy, hey, good morning. Just went into escrow on a duplex. Congratulations. Where one unit is big enough to be our forever home. My favorite. I love that. Perfect location. The math is different when it comes to a family, but I still got a deal. Good for you. Congratulations. All-nighter. Got to shave my head. I'll be listening for a while. No problem. Enjoy shaving your head. Cashflow Johnny Ramirez. What's up, Real Estate Freaks? What's up, Johnny? Good to see you posted, my friend. Dylan McMahon, what do you tell tenants about preventing pests? Keep trash picked up. Don't leave food around. That's it. How much do you do your late fees? Depends on the state. So that differs from state to state and what you're allowed to charge. And so that's where you have to find out what the rules are in your state. Dylan, how do you educate tenants to not cause sewage backups? So I believe that's what we're dealing with here. I don't think it's a leaky pipe. I think we're dealing with sewage backup or a sewer line backup. It's not really sewage, it's a sewer line backup, because usually what it is it's people that then, it's showers going into that. It's all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. We actually have in our lease, you can only flush toilet paper and human waste. Nothing else is to be flushed. Sam Farho, one leveling company recommended replacing all the beams, and another recommended replacing one beam because I was there and I questioned them. Yeah, I'd want to see a complete proposal. What would be the reason for the difference in repair recommendation? Some of them want to put their name on something that's only absolutely perfect. Others of them have actually done the business for maybe 20 or 30 years, and they say, yeah, you can do it that way, but it's overkill because, based on how we're going to shore it up with this one beam, this is all we really think that you need. So that's the thing is there's a million different ways to do it. You just have to look at, the benefits and the pros and the cons of the different approaches that are being recommended. That's the biggest difference. There we go. That's better. Let's see. Dylan, what does providing notice to a tenant before eviction look like? Depends on the state. In my state, it is we post after the payment's late, and it's they have up to 10 days to respond. And if they don't respond and make out some sort of a deal with us, then we bring it to the courthouse, and they then have, I think it's either 14 or 21 days to request a court date. And if they do, then they get a court date within a week or so. And if they don't, we get it defaults. And then we get to go to the courthouse. We get a writ of possession. We bring that to the sheriff's office, and the sheriff serves the writ of possession. So that's how it works in New Hampshire. Hey, Josh Coster. How's it going? Josh, I'm reaching out to you this week. We just finished our audit. We won, by the way. Not that there's winning and losing. I guess there is winning and losing. But we didn't beat the IRS. We just answered all their questions, and they saw that we were doing it right. So it wasn't a matter of beating them. It was much matter of making sure that we were doing it right. And the good news is we're doing it right. We're doing it. We're crushing it. We actually got a lot of compliments from the IRS agent saying, hey, there's going to be no further action taken. Love the way that you do the process. You're the cleanest set of landlord books we've seen. I'll take that. Dylan, how to keep renewal high? Keep your property in nice shape and, be responsive to tenants, and they're usually more than happy to stay. Dylan, do you charge fees for renewal? Nope. I only charge an increase based on what we're going to renew the rent to. The Wealth Building Journey. What's up, Chester? Acronym title, Virtual Assistance for Veterans Administration in Virginia. VAVAV. Nicely done. Dylan McMahon, what fees do you charge tenants for applications? Cost of it? I don't charge application fees. That's one of the secrets that we teach in the course is we don't charge application fees because we can qualify a tenant up front with a 90+% certainty. Yep. That's how you do it. You have a better process. After how many units did you get an umbrella policy? Good question. I waited too long, admittedly, I would think. I think I waited too long. I think we waited until, I want to say like 100 units. It was too many. We should have had an umbrella probably closer to 10. Yep. If your biggest fear is getting sued, then eliminate that fear. How do you eliminate that fear? Well, what do people sue for? They sue for money. So if people are suing for money, what do you need to have? You need to have a lot of money for them to sue. So the best part that I can do is I can make sure that I have high liability, that I have, instead of 300, 500 coverage, I have 500, 1 million coverage. Instead of not having an umbrella, I have another umbrella that sits on top of that. That way, the insurance company, what are they going to do? Am I going to get their best attorney? Yep. I'm going to get their best attorney because the other attorney is going to try and find out what my limits are, and then he's going to sue me for whatever they can possibly sue for. So the better bet that I have is I actually, yeah, you guessed it, I have the insurance company on my side because they don't want to write the check. So that's where you have your best option. But that's one of the reasons rates are going up so much. It's because repairing cars has gotten so much more expensive. Repairing houses has gotten so much more expensive. The materials, the labor, all that stuff has gotten far more expensive. So because all that stuff has gotten far more expensive, that means the rates go up. And what do insurance companies do? These lower dollar ones are just like, yeah, forget it, not worth litigating, because attorney rates and courtroom time and all of that stuff has become much more expensive. So because it's all come much more expensive, guess what? They're willing to settle on a $5,000 or $10,000 claim where before they weren't. But what does that mean? That means they're writing a bunch more checks than they ever used to write. And because stuff is so much more expensive, guess what? It means that the settlements are that much higher. When the settlements are that much higher, we pay for those settlements. The insurance company doesn't pay. We pay. Dylan, do you ask for reviews from tenants? Nope. I mean, they usually give us feedback. If they're mad, they tell us. If they're not mad, they don't tell us. So usually how it goes. Dion, what's up, buddy? I did a live stream with my buddies on Friday. That was a lot of fun. Good time as always. Dylan McMahon, how do you determine how quick you'll respond to a tenant? I get an emergency ask, but what else? It's really just where it falls into. So when they file something, when they put something on our emergency line, it depends on if it's an emergency or not. Hey, my washer stopped working, not an emergency. Now we put that into the queue. We get notified that, hey, my washer stopped working. So we'll send them a message saying, hey, what's not working about it? So we get some sort of a message back. If we look at that, my guys will look at it and they'll go, oh yeah, you know what? We can fix that. Or, we need to call the appliance guy. Then we make the decision there. We're going to call the appliance guy. We're going to, we're going to try and fix it ourselves. If we're trying to fix it ourselves, we say, you know what? We're booked up today or tomorrow, whatever our schedule is. And then we let them know when we can make it on site. Wealth building journey. Good morning, Dion. Thoughts on gated entry? Would you pay for that in an apartment? Maybe. What would it depend on? Don't need gates up here. It's safe. Dylan, come in. Why not sign up for Matt's course? Good question. Dion's, I think Dylan's going to get to it, just not ready for it yet. Yeah, just has to finish. Dude, you're never going to finish Simon's channel. He does like 7 to 8 hours a week of content. You're never going to finish his channel, ever. And again, as great as Simon is, he's brilliant. Brilliant. I love the way he looks at the economy. I love the way he looks at the dollar. I love all of that stuff. Here's the issue. You follow people that are wealthy? There you go. Follow people because all of his knowledge is critically important. He does it. He enjoys it. He's a service to his community. He's a service to us on YouTube. But you have to turn that into, what did you do with that information to then monetize it? So all of my information is based on monetization and actual experience in those things. So where Simon is somebody that I listen to and I love his take on things, he saved me a ton of money when we were talking about doing a bunch of decks. And he was like, I was watching his channel nonstop and he was like, hey, here's the cool thing. It's a supply chain issue. It's not anything other than that. And so I watched and I just said, yeah, we're going to put off doing the decks. And so we did the decks a couple of years later. Or those enhancements, we were able to do those things for a fraction of the cost. Labor was still expensive, but the material was a third the price. So the important thing is, how do you find people monetizing it?
right? How do you find people monetizing doing what they're talking about? That's where, quite frankly, I think most college professors are complete blowhards, especially business ones. How many businesses have they owned? How many tens of millions of dollars have they made for them? I would go sit in a room and I would listen to a Howard Schultz, right? We don't agree on everything, but he built Starbucks basically from nothing. Okay. Ray Kroc, I would listen to what he did. You know, the founder of McDonald's, not anymore, it's past, but but you get what I'm meaning. People that talk only policy, it's valuable because it's important to understand kind of where things are going and what's going on. So all that stuff is important. But the thing to keep in mind is you have to monetize. You have to be able to turn that into something that creates wealth. And so, I think that the most important thing is being a doer. There's a lot of academics in the world, and this is what I like about Uneducated Economists. What I like about Simon is that he's not an academic. He gets in there and he does the research and he educates himself. But these people that end up with these, master's degree in economics, Mike Zuber has one, really smart guy, understands economics really well. It's absolutely helped him in his business for sure. But how many economists have been completely wrong about the world for the last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? They've been completely wrong. So I want to talk to the guys who are doers, because in all likelihood, they're going to likely figure out a solution when something comes up and shifts. What do good entrepreneurs do? They pivot. That's what we do. That's why I've stayed in business through the Great Recession, through the dot-com bomb, through the pandemic. I stayed in business all those times because I'm a good businessman. I'm a good entrepreneur. I know how to pivot. Sam Farrell, I did not give the contractors W-9 before they started working last year. Can I still give them a W-9 to file taxes? And can I still get the deductions without that? Yeah, so what you can do is, so we have a bunch of guys that we give 1090 or W-9s to, or 1099s to, and then we have some that might do X amount of work for us and they didn't, but they're a business. So what I would do is I would talk to your CPA. Usually you can still take the receipt that they gave you and the payment of that and submit that, and you still should be fine, but I would talk to your CPA about that. Dylan, would you pay people to report crime on a complex? I wouldn't invest in an area where there is crime in a complex. Sam Farho, hit the like, folks. Thanks, Sam. Lumberjack Landlord live froze. Yeah, it's because I'm going out of my phone. That's why I won't do it anymore. Thank you. I appreciate that, Chester. I was wondering if that was happening. How do you offer a tenant to get on Section 8 if they are missing payments? All of that is income based. And if you need to do the work for them to get on Section 8, they're the wrong tenant. They're the wrong tenant, because you can't just get on Section 8. It's a multi-year process in every market. You can't just get on Section 8. Yep, did live freeze for everybody? Yep, we're back. There you go. Yeah, it was me. It was me texting back somebody that doesn't want to follow the rules because they think they're special. Wealth building journey. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Yeah, he took a call which froze the stream. He's back. Cool. KB money. KBS. KB money. Dylan, they aren't mean because they don't respond, aren't interested in people. Curse me out for asking. Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, wrong choice of word. Yeah. Never know the situation. Exactly. Never. Exactly. Dylan, that's really what I meant to tell you. You never know their situation, but they're busy. I can tell you, these large property owners like me, I had 2 kids, a kid battling cancer, my wife in the hospital half of the time. And the last thing that I wanted was somebody cold calling me. And the worst thing is when they would cold call me and then they would cold call me again right after, and then cold call me again right after. At that point, yeah, you got my fire, because I don't have time for that. If I wanted to answer the phone, I'd answer the phone, but you're just going to have to wait like everybody else and go to voicemail. So just keep that in mind, because you never know what somebody's going through. That's what I was going through. And I would still try to be nice to people, but hey, you know what? There were a few more things far more important than making sure that I mentor somebody on my plate. So that's just to give you perspective as the guy on the other side of the phone. Yeah, let's take another call. Hi, Talia. Hi, Talia Smith. Hi. Tenant is a random on responding to texts. Okay. Should I just email and mail what I am communicating to the tenant? I would email. So I would ask. When you finally get them on the phone, I need to be able to get a hold of you. So what is the best way to communicate to you? They go, I don't care. Okay, then send them a text and then follow up with an email. Yep. Because it shows, hey, I sent a text, I sent an email, they still don't want to respond. What would you like me to do? Also, don't be afraid to call. If it's an emergency, if you really need something, don't be afraid to call. Angel R, in units you pay for water, do you leave in laundry hookups or remove? Thank you. So we do leave in the laundry hookups. We do pay for water in all of our units except for the ones that we rent out to corporations. So we do pay for water, and we leave that in there, but we've also done the math to account for the fact that we know that they're going to use X more. Sorry, got to adjust my seat. There we go. So we do account for the fact that they're going to use X more. And so then we just add that to the rent. So we make sure the rent covers that. James Welch, just listen to your interview with Coach Carson. You were awesome. Thanks for the knowledge. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I love being awesome. It's all in the eye of the beholder. Sometimes my wife thinks I'm awesome. Sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes my kids think I'm awesome. Sometimes they don't. If you think that was a good article, there was another really good article with Think Media, with Sean Cannell. Very excited for that to hit on Think Media. So keep an eye open for that, but very excited to do that as well. Again, I've actually asked Simon too to do another collab. So next time you guys are in the live stream, hit him up, let him know, hey, do another collaboration with Lumberjack, because I know that he wants to give you guys what you want. And if you guys really want it, I'd love to do another collab with him. I think I've done 3 or 4 with him. He's great to spend time with. Dylan, do some places just not do utility bill back? Yes, many don't. Dylan, how do rents happen to be higher in some areas on Section 8? Because it's based on the market and how that's reflected. All-nighter hider, summertime. Ask the lender if they're giving you legal advice. That'll put them in a box. That's a powerful question. Yeah, it is. Hey, thanks for the Sunday walk-in. Thanks so much, Phil Nealon. I appreciate that. Phil, you got to send me an email. I need. I got to send out your stuff, and I don't have your address. I got everything. I got all my stock back, and so I've got stuff ready to go out to you. Send me an email with your address, my man. JNYC, how often do you Inzit Guillaume? I don't know what that is. Sorry, JNYC. Retype it, and I'll tell you. Hey, Chris Webb. Good afternoon from Central Virginia. Hi. All-nighter. Phil Nealon. I know. Phil Nealon's a legend. Coming back. How's the knee doing, Phil? How often do you do inspections? Also, is there such a thing as a humidity activated bathroom fan? I don't know. I don't know if there's a humidity activated bathroom fan. That's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know. There might be. I would bet that if there is, I bet it's really expensive. Yeah. How often do I do inspections? I mean, I do a lot of drive-by stuff. That's why I like being where I live and investing where I live, is I drive by stuff all the time. There isn't a property of mine that I haven't driven past in the last 90 days. I've driven past all of them in the last 90. Yep. So, or 60. I'd say 60. I'd say I've driven past all of the properties I own in the last 60. And I'd say even like, was it yesterday or the day before? In the last couple of days, I've driven by 40 of them or 50 of them, like a lot of them. Units, not buildings. I have an emergency line. Yes. Joseph Aiello. Hey, good afternoon. Hey, Joseph. Good afternoon. Wayne Miller, you almost make a decent point for self-insuring. Thank you. Insurance is pretty much a scam when you pay the premiums and fix everything anyway. Exactly. Hey, Dylan, you need to practice. If you need practice, let me know. You can call on owners in my area for practice. If you get someone to bite, we'll work on a deal. See, love that. Love the community. Just Fael, I have a lot zoned for a duplex. Very cool. What do you feel about construction loans? I love them. High interest rates, sure. Then convert to conventional on a refi. Do you have any experience with similar projects? I do. I do construction loans all the time. In fact, it's the answer to Burr. Yep. JMYC, I was raised to FR. I don't know what that means, JMYC. You're throwing heat at me, JMYC. I don't know what that means. Practice beats theoretical policy 10 times out of 10. So true. So true. I know people that teach master's classes in business. I would bury them. Absolutely bury them in 5 seconds. It's not hard. It's not hard. They're like, well, if you ever want to see what the real world is, watch the movie Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, and when he's in the class with the business teacher. Watch that. That exchange has me on the floor laughing every single time I see it because that is the truth. Well, you're making a widget. Okay, then you're making a tape recorder. Okay, well, the Japanese will kill us because they have this and they have this and they have this. That's the thing, guys. There's no stay pat answer for any of this. And that's why people with experience that have done it, the answer isn't in a textbook. It just isn't. If it were, I wouldn't have found it. Oh, wow, that's cool. Practice beat, man, that's awesome. All I have to do is tap that. Hey, guys, thank you for letting me learn while we're doing this. Exactly, Matt. Economists have predicted 10 of the last 3 recessions. Exactly right. I like Peter Schiff, generally speaking. I think he's a smart guy. He's predicted global collapse for 17 years. Eventually, he's going to be right. I'm not saying that he's going to be wrong, but he's still found a way to make hundreds of millions of dollars in that process, right? Luke Devine, there you are, buddy. Would you always go see the real estate in person before making an offer and going under contract? So for me, that's a major part of it. Absolutely. For me. Yep. If you're in a remote area, you just need somebody that has the same set of eyes that you do, because if you have a PM going and checking something out, well, do they know how to look for all the construction things that might be a problem? Bad foundation, bad heating system, bad roof, asbestos, lead, all these other things, right? I want more control over my business. Guys, this is a business. I'm shocked at the number of people that are just kind of like, well, the numbers worked in the spreadsheet. Ugh. That's horrible, guys. That's horrible. I feel like Caleb Hammer screaming at my phone right now. That's horrible. You've got to be invested in this process, guys. That's why I priced the course the way that I did. I could charge $15,000 for my course and literally go out there with people and help them buy properties. But I didn't. I wanted to put some of the onus on you guys and charge a much more affordable thing so I could help that many more people. But you have to see with these properties, you have to learn about these properties. You have to learn what lead looks like. You have to learn what asbestos looks like. You have to learn the things you're looking at from a typical heating system. You have to look at and understand what kind of shingles you have. You have to look and see if the chimney was leaded. You got to look and see, do you have single pane windows or triple pane windows? You have to understand what kind of heat system do I have? Do I have oil? Do I have natural gas? Do I have propane? What are my other options? Do I have an electric water heater? Do I have a gas hot water heater? What are my rates for electric here? What are my rates for gas here? What's the rates for water here? What are the current costs? What are the property taxes? I mean, guys, there's so much that goes into this. That's why I teach it. There's so much that goes into this. So yeah, to answer your question, thanks, Luke, for letting me go on a tangent. Sorry. We're gonna highlight that. JMIC, I was raised to mistrust entrepreneurs and to trust governments and institutions. How's that worked out for you, JMIC? Truthfully, that's not a rhetorical question. How's that worked out? There are sly entrepreneurs out there, but I'm not selling my buildings. I'm not trying to do a syndication. I just share my stories of this is what I found in my buildings. And you guys have seen, I've told you when I made a mistake. Hell, I told you when I got audited. I told you about my lead order. I tell you guys when I make a mistake. They just don't happen very often anymore. They just don't, because I got 22 years experience and I've made all those mistakes. That's why I did the course. All-nighter hider. It would take a very special circumstance for me to cold call someone twice in a row. That's just an asshole, if not an emergency. Exactly. That's the problem. If I got disconnected, guys, I was in sales for 26 years. You don't think I called somebody twice? But I was politeful. I was respectful. I would tell them the reason I was calling. I wasn't trying to trick them into a call back. Ninja Vanish 24/7. Good morning. All-nighter hider. Luke, depends on how much you trust your boots on the ground team. Absolutely. Head shaved, feeling good. Feeling good, Lewis. SK, tenant moved in last month and keeps on texting for very minor things. Interrupting my work, fixed most of the issues already, but still keeps coming up with something minor and complaint. How do you manage? Great question. So I actually have in my lease, that any defects that are not found in the first 5 days, I give them 5 days, I get the list and I work the list. Any defects not found in the first 5 days, you are responsible for. Unless it is X, X, and X, which is like a leaky roof, a leaky faucet, a backed up sewer line, things like that. And that way I don't end up having to do honey-do lists. My job is not to, and with all due respect to you, SK, I know that you're a good landlord, and you're doing a bunch of things that, quite frankly, aren't your responsibility to do. If they wanted a perfect place, so I actually have in my lease that they're taking the unit as is, and that they can let me know in within 5 days what the issue is. All right, I'm going to roll through a bunch of these. JMIC. Rob, what I miss? You missed some great stuff, Rob. Most cold callers. Good morning, Ninja. Big Pause. What up, Lumberjack? This is Rob from the event talking about student housing. Oh, dude, what's up? Wanted to connect with you, but need an email, bud. So send me an email. Big Pause. You got to check. So boot camps now, man. We got a boot camp today, 1 o'clock. You should be in there. If you're not in there, send me an email, lumberjacklandlord@gmail, lumberjacklandlord@gmail. Send me that email. I'll get you the link because boot camp is in an hour or half hour. Boot camp's in a half an hour. Got to get you on there so we can do that student housing stuff. Unbelievable. This tenant. Fucking idiot. Oh, sorry. Shouldn't have said that. But she is. She's insisting on continuing to text me because the guy's not there yet. He's en route. What would you like me to do? There's nothing more I can do. There's no water to shut off. And I've said that to her 4 times. Let's see. Called over 1,000 people. Yeah, so far in February. Yep. First, just getting bored of it. Yeah, it's a grind. It's a grind to start. It is what it is for sure. You got to be getting out in the field too, Dylan. You got to be actually going to these meetups and seeing and meeting people. It's not just a phone call thing. People ignore phone calls really easily. All right, guys, I'm going to cut this one short. I got to get ready for my 1 o'clock for the crew. So it's, oh, hold on. That was Phil Mill. Good. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. I'm going to be getting ready for my students in my boot camp, and hopefully I have internet back on. But I will keep you guys posted, but you'll see me in the boot camp either way. Big Pause, send me an email, lumberjacklandlord@gmail.com. I'll get you the link for this afternoon. Guys, have a fantastic week. I hope you just have a great week, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.